Millionaire discovers heartwarming truth behind boy's plea, "Please, don't lift my mom's skirt." In the small Midwestern town of Cedarwood, life was often defined by struggle. For Emily, a 32-year-old single mother, every day felt like an uphill battle. As she rushed through her crowded life, weaving between tables at the local diner and mopping office floors late into the night, she wore her exhaustion like a badge of honor. With worn hands and tired eyes, she fought to carve out a better life for her 7-year-old son, Jason. But beneath the surface, Emily often felt invisible, her sacrifices unnoticed by the neighbors who looked past their worn white picket fences, raising eyebrows at her choices. One sunny afternoon, as Emily balanced groceries and Jason's art supplies, fate intervened. Mark, a wealthy businessman, strode through Cedarwood with a confidence only money could foster. He had made a fortune in tech and was still searching for something that left him inexplicably empty. Drawn toward the local park, he came upon Emily and Jason, their laughter ringing like wind chimes on a breezy day. In an attempt at small talk, Mark clumsily leaned too close, unknowingly forcing Emily into an uncomfortable position. Suddenly, Jason, the little guardian, jumped in, his innocent voice trembling yet resolute. "Please, don't lift my mom's skirt." The word sliced through the park like a knife, shock hanging heavy in the air. The world around them paused. Emily's heart raced as color flushed her cheeks while whispers filled the air, lifting the moment out of embarrassment into something profound and electric. Staring at Mark, the onlookers felt a wave of compassion swell for the mother and her fierce protector. As everyone witnessed this raw display of vulnerability, even Mark could feel the gravity of his cluelessness settle in. It marked the beginning of a realization, a fresh understanding of the struggles threaded through the lives of Cedarwood's families. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined to right his wrong, Mark launched a charity aimed at assisting families like Emily's. Yet, as he presented his idea, resistance brewed like a storm cloud hanging heavy over Cedarwood. The locals whispered amongst themselves, questions circling like hungry hawks. Could he really understand their struggles? Was this just a facade to polish his reputation? The sincerity they longed for felt lacking, and Mark found himself engulfed in frustration and heartbreak as he glimpsed the pain beneath their skepticism. In an anxious town meeting, emotions erupted like fireworks. Voices clashed as stories of hardship spilled into the open air. Mark couldn't ignore the depth of their struggles, realizing charity wasn't the answer. He needed empathy, community, and authentic connections. As he looked at Emily, whose heart carried the weight of her dreams for Jason, he wanted more. He wanted to know them, to walk beside them. But could he bridge the chasm between his world and theirs? As thoughts swirled and Jason looked up, uncertainty hung thick in the air. Would his intentions truly resonate? The crowd watched, holding their breath, as the seeds of change teetered on the brink of possibility, ready to ignite or wither away. Mark stood at the front of the crowd, engulfed by the weight of their collective doubt. Their skeptical eyes felt like a storm brewing, and he could feel his heart hammering against his chest. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about understanding, about acknowledging painful stories each of them carried. For the first time, he questioned his investments, his charity. What if he didn't truly have the answers they needed? At that moment, Emily locked eyes with him, her gaze steady but vulnerable. She was more than a mother fighting for her son, she was a voice for the many who felt unheard. There was a depth in her expression he hadn't noticed before, a mixture of fear and hope, as if she were daring him to prove he wasn't just another wealthy outsider. "You don't know our struggles," she said firmly, her voice cutting through the murmur of the gathering. "You don't know what it's like to worry about rent every month or to feel inadequate as a parent, to hear your child pray for basic things most kids take for granted." The townsfolk nodded in agreement, their shared experiences swirling in a communal heartbeat. Mark felt the intensity of their pain, crushing like a weight on his shoulders. For a man who had navigated the digital world with ease, facing the raw reality of the town's challenges felt foreign, almost terrifying. "I know I can't change the past," he finally spoke, his voice low but steady. "But I'm willing to learn. I want to understand what you need. Maybe it's my time? Maybe it's something more than money." His heart raced as the words hung in the air. It was a raw declaration, and both hope and skepticism danced between the lines. Would they allow him to step into their world? Or was he doomed to remain an outsider, forever misunderstood and untrustworthy? A courageous young woman from the crowd, Amy, stood up, a single parent just like Emily. "We've seen rich folks come and go, Mark. They all promise they care, but they don't. They want to help us, but they don't understand the first thing about the challenges we face." "Amy's right," another voice chimed in, deep and resonant. "We need allies, not saviors. We want to rise together." Mark could see the resolve in their faces, fierce love for their families etched in every line. A wave of determination surged within him. He could feel a connection forming, something deeper than charity. "Then let us walk this together. Let us form a committee, a real partnership. I'll be here every week, every day if you'll let me, so we can figure out how to support each other." The crowd's reaction was a cocktail of emotions, curiosity mixed with hope, laced with caution. But there was an undeniable shift, electricity in the air. Each hesitant nod felt like a spark, igniting possibilities they hadn't dared to imagine before. As the meeting continued, ideas flooded the room about community gardens, educational workshops, and shared resources. Jason watched, a glimmer of hope lighting up his innocent face. Maybe life could change. Maybe things could shift for his mom, for all of them. Mark felt something swell within him too, a sensation he had rarely experienced before, the thrill of genuine connection. He was not there to save but to learn, to grow. But amidst the healing energy of dreams and teamwork, a new worry crept into his mind. The deeper he got involved, the more difficult it would become to be accepted. As the sun began to set over Cedarwood, the warmth wrapped around them, whispers of hope flickered in the twilight. Would their gestures forge a community of strength, or would old wounds stand in the way of healing? They were on the precipice of something, but the path ahead remained uncertain. Mark caught Emily's eye again, and he could see she was weighing his sincerity. He needed to prove he wasn't just another wealthy man shuffled into their lives. He was ready to change. But could the town let him in? As the crowd dispersed, excitement mixed with hesitation floated in the air. Would they allow a millionaire to walk beside them, or would past grievances keep him forever at arm's length? The truth would reveal itself as they embarked on this unpredictable journey, one step at a time. Mark returned home that evening with the weight of both excitement and uncertainty pressing down on him. The lingering looks from the crowd, especially from Emily and her son, haunted him. They were struggling, he could see that clearly now, and he wondered how to navigate the complex tapestry of their lives. There was warmth in Cedarwood, but it came wrapped in layers of past disappointments, and he was acutely aware of his unfamiliarity with their world. As he sat at the kitchen table, his laptop open and a half-finished report waiting for his attention, Mark's mind drifted back to the faces of the townsfolk. Their skepticism was palpable, but so was their hope. There was something undeniable in their energy, a shared yearning for change that sparked something deep within him. He barely slept that night. Instead, he flipped through his contacts, planning who he could show up with for next week's meeting. He could invite other philanthropists, bring in experts on community development, but would that help or make matters worse? He didn't want to parade in with a bunch of suits, looking like he was fixing a broken toy. No, he needed to be one of them, to share in their struggles as they all figured it out together. Days passed, and the momentum grew. Mark found himself back in Cedarwood, more often than not. Every time he stood in front of that gathering, he felt more connected. They discussed real issues: food insecurity, education gaps, and job training, and he could hardly believe the energy in that room. It was electric. Yet as the community began to open doors and embrace Mark as someone to ally with, he felt an unexpected shadow looming in the background. Then, in the middle of a brainstorming session about creating after-school programs for kids, Jason's innocent question pierced the air like an arrow. Why don't you help my mom find a better job? Everyone turned to look at Jason, who wore a mixture of eagerness and confusion on his face. Mark froze, unsure how to respond. In that moment, all the adults in the room curled their lips tightly, their eyes shifting to the floor. Was this the invisible wall? The barrier that separated their aspirations from the painful reality of their everyday lives. Emily's expression flickered between surprise and concern, and Mark felt himself draw inward. Could he give Emily what she needed without making things worse for her? The hard truth was laid bare. Helping someone meant dealing with their realities head-on. But Mark hadn't prepared for this kind of raw honesty. I want to, he finally managed, his heart thudding in his chest. But it's not just about finding jobs. It's about finding strength. His voice wavered, but he pressed on, determination seeping into his words. Let us build a program that empowers you, that gives all of you the tools to ask for what you deserve. The room remained silent. Tensions hung in the air as all eyes were on Emily, searching for a sign of understanding or a flicker of approval. She met Jason's gaze and then looked at Mark. It's not just about empowerment, it's also about trust. Can we trust a man with privilege to really understand? That simple question echoed through him, deep and relentless. As the evening wore on, Mark came to realize that trust isn't built simply by showing up or by good intentions. It's about showing heart, stepping back when necessary, and doing the work without expectation. When he finally left that evening, his head was spinning. He had thought he would be seen as a beacon of hope, but the reality had shaken him. Did he have what it took to bridge the gap? To not just be an ally, but a true partner in their fight. Days later, while preparing for another meeting, Mark received a message from Emily. Can we talk? There is something important you need to know. His heart raced. What could it be? He had been left to imagine worst-case scenarios. Did they see him as a fraud? Did something happen that would spoil this budding camaraderie? He felt a million butterflies in his stomach as he typed back a simple yes. What was coming next could change everything: their trust, their partnership, and perhaps even the path he thought he was on. Would he be able to genuinely support Emily and Jason amidst the weight of their shared realities? He looked out his window, the world outside strangely reflecting his inner turmoil. Whatever was ahead, he needed to face it with the same vulnerability he had seen in Emily's eyes. No more hiding behind money or offers of help. He took a deep breath. It was time to confront what was coming, and to learn the truth that could bind them all together. Mark didn't have to wait long for Emily's reply. She arrived at the cafe early the next morning, her face a mix of determination and worry. The gentle chime of the doorbell announced her entry, and Mark felt an electric charge in the air. He waved her over and offered a reassuring smile, hoping it would ease the tension. As she sat down, he noticed Jason wasn't with her, a subtle but powerful sign. The innocence of a child's presence often lightens heavy conversations. Without him, the conversation felt heavier, more serious. Thanks for meeting me, Emily began, her fingers fiddling nervously with the edge of the tablecloth. I wanted to talk about what Jason said. I don't want it to change how you see us, how you see me. Mark nodded, feeling the weight of her words. I meant what I said in the meeting. I want to help, but I know it has to come from a place of understanding. We need to figure this out together. Emily looked up, her eyes searching his. It's just this isn't just about jobs, Mark. It's about Jason and me. He looks up to you, and I don't want him to think help means pity. I don't want him growing up thinking being in need is something to be ashamed of. Mark felt his throat tighten. That's not what I want either. Trust me, I'm still figuring this out. Your struggles, they pull at a part of me that I didn't know existed. I don't want to impose my ideas on you, I want your input. A moment of silence fell between them. Mark could see the conflict in her eyes, torn between pride and the burden of needing help. Emily spoke again, her voice quaking. I've been trying, Mark. Trying to make sure Jason doesn't see our hardships as something wrong with us. The last thing I want is for him to feel less than anyone else. Mark felt the room closing in around him as he listened. He could almost hear the silent hopes and fears swirling around them. He knew he had to say the right thing, but what was right in situations like these? "I promise I won't take away your strength," he said earnestly. "I want to create something robust. Something that lets your community stand tall." "What about working on a job fair? It could be put together locally, showcasing talents and creating local networks." Emily's eyes softened. "That could work, but we have to be cautious. We can't just throw together an event and hope it helps. It has to be genuine, a reflection of what we value." "Absolutely. Whatever we do, it has to honor your community," Mark assured her. "It's not my idea, it's ours." A tiny smile crept across Emily's face, and Mark felt warmth ripple through him. Perhaps they were starting to connect, to build something that could break through the barriers, but then, she leaned in closer, her expression serious. "Mark, there's something else. It's about my job, the one I lost last year. I want to find something better, but the industry around here is so tight-knit. If they know I'm struggling," Mark's heart sank, sensing the weight of the truth behind her hesitation. The realities of small-town life loomed over them. "What do you need from me? How can I help you navigate that?" She looked away, lost in thought. "It's not just a job I'm after, it's also hope. Hope for Jason. Can you help me find that?" Mark nodded, feeling the gravity of her request. "I want to help you find hope. I could look through my contacts, maybe connect you with some openings in different fields. We could also approach other locals for mentorship." Emily hesitated, then whispered, "That would mean opening up to people. Would they accept me?" "Let me help them see you in a different light. You deserve that chance, Emily. Let us show them who you really are." As the words left his lips, Mark realized this was a turning point not just for Emily, but for himself as well. This journey was shifting. The trust had to grow, and so did his understanding of what they needed. "Let us take one small step at a time," he said softly. "And if we stumble, we have each other." As Emily nodded, a flicker of determination lit up her eyes. But something still lurked behind her gaze, a hint of doubt, maybe even fear. About what lay ahead, Mark leaned back, his heart racing. They had opened a door, but would they step through together? The journey was only just beginning. And then, just as the moment settled, the cafe door swung open again, and a man walked in with a familiar face. Mark's heart dropped as recognition dawned. This man was someone from Emily's past, someone who could unravel everything they'd just started to build. What did he want? Mark's breath caught in his throat as the man stepped fully into the cafe, the soft morning light casting an ominous shadow across his face. Jason, a name that struck a chord deep in Emily's history. The man's eyes scanned the room until they landed on her, and a grin broke across his face that felt too wide, too pleased. A chill passed between Mark and Emily, and the air shifted, heavy with unspoken words. "Emily!" he called out, his voice carrying an air of familiarity that sent Emily's eyes darting from Mark to the newcomer. "I wasn't expecting to see you here." Emily stiffened, her hands curling around the edges of the table. "What are you doing here, Adam?" Adam strode over with an easy confidence, clearly unbothered by her frosty tone. He was dressed sharply, like someone who had found success in a big city while she had been left behind. "Just passing through. Thought I'd grab a coffee and see who I could bump into. And look! Here's my favorite someone." Mark watched as Emily's expression shifted from guarded to a flicker of something, perhaps annoyance or regret. She wasn't ready to be drawn back into his orbit. He could sense that much. "Not interested in a catch-up," she said sharply. The tension in Mark's chest tightened further, instinctively wanting to shield her from this unwelcome intrusion. "Oh come on, Adam chuckled, holding up his hands in mock surrender. "What's wrong with a little chat? I hear you've been having a rough time. Everyone has their ups and downs, right?" Emily's face paled. "Those ups and downs are none of your concern, Adam," she shot back, her voice steady now but laced with underlying hurt. Mark cleared his throat, stepping in to stem the tide. He felt the need to protect Emily, to anchor her during this unexpected storm. "We were just discussing some local opportunities for the community," he said, keeping his tone casual but firm, hoping to redirect the conversation. "I see," Adam said with a dismissive wave, his eyes glinting like he'd just discovered a hidden weakness. "Is this your charity work, Mark? Helping the less fortunate? Look at you, Mr. Good Samaritan." Mark felt the anger rise in him, but he kept his composure. "It's not about charity, it's about empowerment. Emily is more than capable of creating her own path." Adam's smile faltered just a bit, but he recovered quickly. "Sure, if she can get past her past." The words hung in the air like a dark cloud, threatening to unleash a torrent of memories none of them wanted to revisit. Emily's eyes flashed with defiance. "My past doesn't define me, Adam. I'm capable of much more." Suddenly, Jason's absence felt like an echo in the room. The conversation was escalating, and it was no longer just about jobs or hope, it was about shame and the scars left behind. Mark could see Emily's resolve being tested, the vulnerability on display like a raw wound. "Is that what you told yourself when you lost your job?" Adam pressed, leaning in closer. "You really think people will look past that? You think they'll forget?" That was it. Mark had to intervene. He stood up, his own voice rising above the din of their painful exchange. "You don't get to come here and bully her, Adam. She's standing up for herself. We're all trying to move forward." For a moment, silence enveloped the table. Emily's gaze landed on Mark, a mix of appreciation and lingering doubt in her eyes. The cafe fell away, leaving just the three of them, each holding their breath as the air crackled with tension. Then Adam's laughter broke the silence, cutting through the heaviness. "This is quite the little drama, isn't it? I should be known you were mingling with the desperate." Mark's heart raced. What would Emily do now? Would she stand with him against her past, or would she crumble? Adam turned to leave, casting one last glance over his shoulder. "You'll always be that girl in their eyes, Emily. Don't forget it." As he exited, Mark felt a rush of relief wash over him but knew it wasn't over yet. The unanswered question loomed between them. "Emily, are you okay?" Her expression was unreadable, caught in the crosshairs of uncertainty. "I didn't think he'd show up," she whispered, emotion cracking her voice. "I thought I left him behind." Mark reached for her hand across the table, grounding her in the chaos. "You're stronger than you think. You have the chance to redefine everything." But as he looked into her eyes, he couldn't shake the feeling that the battle against the past was far from over. What would she let him do? And would she choose to confront Adam or hide from the truth again? Emily's thoughts swirled as she gazed at Mark's reassuring hand gripping hers. The warmth of his palm contrasted with the icy chill left by Adam's words, but uncertainty clouded her mind. "Maybe I should have just ignored him," she murmured, more to herself than to Mark. "Emily, you can't let him control your narrative anymore," Mark implored, his eyes earnest, searching for the strength he knew she had. "You deserve to tell your own story." She'd been running from it for too long, but facing it felt like a mountain to climb. "It's that easy to say when you haven't lived through it." "You don't know what he drudges up for me," she replied, her voice trembling. "No, I don't," he admitted gently, "but I know you're worth the fight. I've seen how hard you work, how much you care." This was new territory, and each moment felt like walking a tightrope. Past memories, wrapped in fear and pain, crept at the edges of her mind. "He's right about one thing," she said softly, glancing at her half-empty coffee cup. "People remember, they judge. Not everyone. Some really see you, Emily." Mark's voice was steady. She could feel the truth in his words, but could she believe them? There was a time when she thought she could outrun her past, build a new future where Adam wouldn't exist. Yet here he was, invading her thoughts when she was so close to claiming her new path. "I feel like I'm standing at a crossroads," she confessed, her breath hitching. "I don't want to go back to that place. Not even for a second." The light in Mark's eyes shifted to something deeper, a flicker of understanding. Then don't. You've worked too hard to get here. Have you really let him back in? She shook her head, their intertwined fingers a physical grounding in a world full of uncertainty. No. I want to be strong. But sometimes, it feels like a facade. That's okay. Mark's voice broke through her fears. Strength doesn't mean you have to wear a mask. It's okay to feel scared and lost. You're not alone in this. Her heart ached, expanding with the connection they shared. How do you always know what to say? He smiled faintly. Just trying to keep up with you. You're the one fighting through all this. The moment hung between them, filled with emotions unspoken. But before she could deepen the conversation, a burst of laughter pulled her attention to the cafe door, where a group of familiar faces entered, their joyful chatter a welcome disruption. Of course they show up now, Emily said with a small laugh, trying to shake off the heaviness Adam had left behind. Just what I need to be reminded I'm not one of them anymore. Mark's gaze sharpened suddenly. You are. You may not see it yet, but you belong here. Look at them. As her friends spilled into the cafe, bantering and smiling, Emily felt a warmth spread through her. They were full of life, every smile an invitation to rediscover joy. Yet, could she connect with them fully while carrying this weight? Hey! Emily! One of her friends called, waving enthusiastically. Is that coffee for sharing? Mark glanced sideways at her with a smile that ignited a small spark of hope within her. Maybe it was time for a change, time to embrace who she was now without the shadow of the past lurking over her shoulder. But as she looked back at Mark, the weight of that confrontation still lingered. Would Adam's words echo in her mind during these moments of laughter? Do you think it'll always be there? She whispered, a flicker of vulnerability shimmering as her gaze shifted toward the door where Adam had exited. What? Mark asked softly, his attention on her, blocking out the sounds of the cafe momentarily. The past, she hesitated, the words heavy. Will I always carry it no matter how hard I try? For a moment, he didn't speak, and she felt the enormity of her question settle between them like fog. Then he replied, only if you let it. But you have the power to decide what you carry. Emily exhaled slowly, the weight of her fear colliding with the hope that flickered to life. She had the power. And maybe, just maybe, it was time for a revolution within herself. With a small smile, she turned toward the laughter, ready to step back into her life. But deep inside, one thought echoed. Will I be enough? As her friends neared and the conversation buzzed around her, the moment felt fragile, teetering on the knife edge of possibility. Would she step forward, or would she let the past pull her back once more? Let us find out, she whispered under her breath as her determination sharpened. And with that, she took a deep breath, taking the first step toward embracing whatever came next. Yet lingering at the edges of her mind was the truth she had yet to confront. Was Adam really gone for good? Or would he return, demanding that she face the ghost she thought she had buried? As laughter danced through the cafe air, a vibrant warmth filled Emily's chest. She turned toward the group, their faces glowing with the kind of joy that brightened even the darkest corners of her heart. Emily! You made it! Another familiar face, Sarah, rushed over, arms wide open. Emily stepped into her embrace, inhaling the comforting scent of vanilla perfume wrapped in friendship. Of course. Wouldn't miss it for the world, Emily replied, her smile genuine yet shaky. But in the background, a shadow loomed. Adam's voice echoed in her mind, threading doubt through her newfound confidence. She scanned the group, desperately ignoring the nagging thought of whether she still felt like an outsider. Did you get Mark to try that ridiculously big slice of chocolate cake yet? Sarah laughed, pulling Emily toward a table. You have to. It's basically a rite of passage. The group erupted into playful banter, but a part of Emily lingered in uncertainty, hovering between two worlds. Mark joined them, his presence steadying. He caught Emily's eye and gave her an encouraging smile. The warmth spread through her, filling the cracks that Adam's words had etched in her heart. Maybe this was a real step toward finding her place again. Hey, I can totally handle anything chocolate, Mark remarked, leaning in closer to Emily. But I'm not sure about the slice you mentioned. Do they need a crane? Emily chuckled, an authentic sound that vibrated in her chest, pushing back the weight of her fear. Her friends rallied around them, teasing and exchanging laughter, and for a moment, the room felt alive. Yet Emily couldn't shake the feeling of being on the edge, like a dancer too afraid to step onto the floor. Emily, how's work going? A voice sliced through the clamor, pulling her back into the moment as it belonged to Tom, another friend from the group. Still drowning in spreadsheets? More like swimming. I'm getting the hang of it, she replied, forcing confidence she didn't quite feel. The question, innocent enough, made her realize how much she had wrapped herself in past anxieties rather than allowing herself to enjoy the present. Great! You should come show us your fancy new skills one day. Tom suggested, oblivious to the chill that sparked in her gut with the thought of public failure. Yeah, that'd be fun, Emily replied, her smile faltering just a bit. Could she even let people in? Then, without warning, her heart jumped. The cafe door swung open, and her stomach dropped. There he was, Adam, standing, scanning the room with a smirk that made her blood boil. Is that who I think it is? Sarah whispered, her tone a mix of curiosity and concern. Emily's heart raced, her feet feeling glued to the floor. She could sense Mark stiffening beside her, the tension radiating from him towards her like a protective force. Stay close, he murmured, his voice low and fierce, but Emily's thoughts spiraled. The laughter from moments ago blurred as Adam approached, and she felt like she was being pulled under. Emily! Fancy seeing you here. His tone was sugary sweet, but beneath it lay an icy edge. The air thickened, and Emily's light wrapped in that warmth shattered. Look who decides to show his face, she replied, words sharper than she intended. But she couldn't help it. Anger flared in her like a flame. Come now, let us not make a scene, he chuckled, his gaze drifting toward Mark as if to size him up. A rush of protectiveness surged in Mark. Just leave, Adam, Emily said, her voice trembling but determined. The cafe quieted, every pair of eyes trained on them. A collective breath held tightly. Tell me you didn't believe I'd just disappear, Adam mocked, a victorious smirk highlighting his features. You know me better than that. The anxiety twisted into a tension that pressed into her chest, and in that moment, surrounded by her friends, she understood something vital. Adam wasn't the only one with a voice. Taking a step forward, courage unfurling inside, she met his gaze unwaveringly, demanding control over her own narrative as she was meant to. I'm done letting you speak for me. You don't get to decide who I am. Her words echoed through the silence, laced with the emotion that boiled within. But as she faced Adam, an unsettling question emerged: had the past truly been sealed away, or was this merely about a longer fight yet to be fought? Silence enveloped the cafe, each person frozen in shock. Emily could feel the heat creeping up her neck, her heart pounding in her ears. A part of her wanted to collapse into Mark's reassuring presence, while another part felt emboldened, ready to stand her ground. Adam straightened up, clearly enjoying the attention, and leaned closer, his smirk growing. Wow, Emily. Who knew you had it in you? But don't flatter yourself, everyone knows you can't actually get rid of me that easily. His words slithered through the air, as venomous as they were provocative. Mark took a little step forward, positioning himself protectively between Emily and Adam. Don't you think it's time for you to go? You've already made a scene. The steel in Mark's voice surprised Emily, adding a layer of strength she hadn't seen before. Somewhere deep inside, her appreciation for him blossomed, permission to feel protected tangled with her initial instincts to fight her own battles. Oh, come on, I'm just catching up with an old friend, Adam dismissed, casting his gaze over the assembled crowd. The energy felt charged, like a live wire waiting to snap. Emily could see the concern in her friend's eyes, Sarah biting her lip, Tom with his brows furrowed, and even the barista pausing mid-order. Emily, you're not still letting him get to you, are you? Sarah finally broke through the tension. You've changed. We've all seen it. Or is this the best you can do? Adam mocked lightly, tilting his head as if weighing her new resolve. Pretending to be someone else? In that moment, something shifted inside Emily. The weight of Adam's words began to slide off her shoulders. No, Adam. I'm not pretending, she responded, her voice steady now. I'm done trying to appease you. If you want to keep your twisted little game going, you can do it alone. Her friends murmured softly, a wave of support washing over her. She could feel their belief in her forming a protective barrier against the biting chill of Adam's venom. Emily, Adam began, but this time she cut him off. Don't. The word burst forth like a shot. You don't get to say my name like you still have control over me. I'm not that person anymore. Mark's eyes met hers, a moment of connection igniting like fireworks. He knew what this fight meant for her, and in the silence that followed, Emily realized she was actually standing tall. Wasn't he that what she had wanted all along? Understanding dawned, she wasn't he alone. Adam sneered, the triumph fading from his gaze. For a brief moment, he seemed caught off guard by her strength, like a shadow retreating in daylight. With newfound courage lighting the way, she stepped to the side, her body now unguarded but her spirit indomitable. You can walk out that door and stay gone, or keep lingering here like a bad memory. Your choice. The tension hung thick in the air, and for what felt like an eternity, Adam held her stare. Finally, breaking the spell, he scoffed and backed away, slipping through the crowd as if the room would swallow him whole. As the cafe buzzed back to life, her friends surged toward her, an explosion of cheers and encouragement washing over her. Emily felt the rush of victory, but alongside it, a lingering question knotted in her gut. Was this truly the end, or merely the beginning of a fight for her own peace? The atmosphere shifted, and with a mix of excitement and trepidation, Emily searched the faces around her, knowing that this was a defining moment. Could she ever truly put her past behind her, or was Adam a ghost she'd always have to confront? Emily stood there, absorbing the warmth of her friends and the surge of relief that coursed through her. The cafe, once a battleground, felt like a haven. Laughter erupted around her, a balm for the tension that had seized the moment just moments ago. Yet, in the midst of the revelry, uncertainty lurked like a shadow, reminding her that she had not entirely unleashed herself from Adam's hold. Mark was the first to reach her, his hand clasping her shoulder in a gesture of triumph and encouragement. You were incredible, Emily. Just look at you, he said, his voice genuine, filled with pride. His blue eyes sparkled with admiration, and for a split second, all her worries faded away. Thanks, Mark, she replied, the edges of her lips curling into a small smile. She noticed how his gaze lingered on her, a connection that made her heart flutter unexpectedly, but as she scanned the joyful expressions around her, Sarah clapping excitedly, Tom grinning wide, and even the barista giving her a thumbs up, her mind wandered back to Adam. What would he do now? Would he come back, more determined than ever to undermine her newfound strength? The thought chilled her, tainting her moment of victory. Hey, don't let him ruin this. Sarah finally broke through her whirlpool of thoughts. You did it. You really stood up to him. Yeah, you really showed him. Like a warrior princess, Tom added with a playful grin, making a swoosh motion with his hand. His humor was a welcome distraction, pulling her back into the present, but the laughter faded slightly as Emily felt the weight of Adam's words echoing in her mind. Pretending to be someone else. The implication stung. Had she really changed so much, or was she simply a mask over the person she used to be? The doubt gnawed at her insides, but she pushed it back, determined to hold on to the strength she had just discovered. Let us get drinks. My treat. Mark suggested, trying to shift their focus. He turned to her, his expression earnest. How about we celebrate? Emily nodded, grateful for his attempt to lift her spirits. The others eagerly followed as they moved toward the counter, laughter and banter filling the air again. As they chatted, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she was treading on unstable ground. She wanted to breathe easy, to indulge in the feeling of empowerment she had tasted earlier. Yet, the looming specter of Adam threatened to snatch it away. Emily? Mark's voice cut through her thoughts. He stood a little closer now, his brow creased with concern. Are you all right? She hesitated, her heart pinching at the sincerity in his eyes. I am. I don't want to go back to feeling like I used to. He studied her thoughtfully, and in that moment, she realized how much she valued his presence. Perhaps this was the beginning of something new, a friendship grounded in respect and mutual support. Then don't. Just keep moving forward, he urged gently. You have the strength, don't ever forget it. Feeling buoyed by his words, she smiled genuinely. Maybe he was right. Maybe this was a turning point, but still, a part of her whispered doubts about Adam. What if he returned? What if he found a way to unravel everything she had worked for? Come on. Sarah's enthusiastic voice broke through again. Dance with us. Celebrate. Emily took a deep breath, looking around at her friends at the joy and support that surrounded her. For the first time in a long time, she felt a glimmer of hope mixed with her anxiety. Could each step forward be its own small victory? As the music filled the cafe, she allowed herself to be pulled into the moment. Laughter bubbled up inside her, filling those empty spaces where fear once lingered, but beneath the surface, the question remained. Would she ever truly be free of her past, or was she only delaying the inevitable confrontation with the ghost named Adam? Facing those thoughts head-on, she decided not to let them dictate her future. And as she danced, there was a realization that enveloped her heart. Perhaps the fight was just beginning. Emily felt the rhythm of the music pulse through her, pulling her away from the shadows that had haunted her for too long. As she twirled in the midst of her friends, her heart swayed to the beat of their laughter and encouragement. For the first time, the weight of her past faded, replaced by the warmth of connection and celebration. Mark stood at the edge of the dance floor, his eyes fixed intently on her, a soft smile playing on his lips. She could see the admiration there, a glimmer that ignited something pure within her, a strength she hadn't fully embraced until now. The voices of her friends blended into a chorus of support, surrounding her like a shield. How had she forgotten the joy that came from such a genuine community? Let go, Emily. You're amazing. Sarah shouted, her face alight with joy, pulling Emily into another spin, and Emily discovered that laughter came more easily today than it had in ages. With each beat, she felt alive, a warrior rising from the ashes, realizing she wasn't defined by what was whispered in back alleys. Nope, she was standing here, surrounded by friends who adored her for exactly who she was, flaws and all. No more shadows. Just light. But then, a chill brushed her spine as an outline familiar to her stung through the revelry. Adam's face was imprinted in her mind, a chilling echo demanding attention. Would he come back for a rematch? A part of her feared he would. But another part, the strongest part, rose in response. This was her moment. Let us step outside for a breath. Mark suggested, breaking through her thoughts with genuine concern. She caught the sincerity in his eyes and nodded, eager to escape the clatter of too many voices. The cool night air embraced them as they stepped onto the cafe's patio, stars twinkling overhead like fireflies in a southern summer. Feeling better? He asked softly, his brows drawing together in concern. Yeah, I am, she replied, taking a deep breath that filled her lungs with hope. Suddenly, Emily felt the urge to share a piece of her journey. I just wished that feeling of freedom could stay forever. I know it won't always be easy, but I hope it can stick. Mark leaned against the railing, his calm demeanor bolstering her courage. You're the one holding on to it, Emily. It's not about whether it's easy or not, it's about choosing to live in that moment every single day. You are not defined by your past. You are so much more. The truth behind his words wrapped around her like a warm embrace. I want to be strong enough to chase away the ghosts, she confessed, the vulnerability spilling out into the night air. To know that I'm not that girl anymore. I'm a mom. I'm a fighter. That you are, Mark encouraged, stepping closer, his eyes searching hers for understanding. You've taken the first step just by standing up to him today. It's not just a defining moment, it's the birth of a new journey for you. Their stares locked, and Emily's heart raced with unexpected intensity. She wanted to break free from fear. She craved connection, truth, and clarity. But then, the door swung open, and laughter spilled onto the patio. Sarah peeked out. "Hey, you both coming back in? There's cake and dancing." Mark chuckled, and Emily felt the warmth of the moment return. She wanted to linger in the comfort of their connection just a little longer, but it was time to embrace the energy that awaited them. As they stepped inside, Emily glanced around, swallowing the remnants of doubt. Mark was right, she was stronger than she had ever believed. She had the love of her friends, and she was finally learning to let them in. But as the laughter swirled, her heart quickened again. Had Adam truly slinked back into the dark, or would he rear his head just when she thought she was safe? A subtle shift in the atmosphere made her weigh this heavy truth, and Emily drank in the revelry with cautious _hope yet realizable _gratitude _. The night unfolded, they shared stories, spinning in shared laughter, delectable cake, and memories that felt like living spells. But regardless, the worry lingered. On the periphery, what would tomorrow bring? Still, each new day felt like a choice, and as the music pulsed, she promised herself she would continue to choose forward. She felt Mark's hand brush against her shoulder once again, a gentle reminder that she wasn't alone in this. In every lighter moment, Emily could sense a growing force inside her, a promise of resilience intertwined with hope. This was the beginning, the rebirth of herself and an alliance forged in understanding. She would take this journey with her friends, and Mark. The battle scars from her past were merely reminders of how far she had come. She wouldn't just survive, she would thrive. As they danced into the night, the twists and turns of life unfolded elegantly, each step a mark on the path toward healing. Her heart sang a new melody, a cauldron filled with strength, friendship, and courage. And in that moment, she knew she was finally free, and layers of who she was started to rise anew. So let the morning come, let the ghosts linger, but she would face them. Emily had not only found her grounding but also realized the immense power nestled deep within her. She was on the cusp of something beautiful, and tomorrow was a fresh canvas just waiting to be painted, and she was ready. Now it was time to embrace every second. If you found inspiration in Emily's story, you need to subscribe now to the channel for more exclusive tales that transform lives. Don't wait one more second, hit that like button to feed the algorithm. We want to hear your feelings about this ending, so comment below. Share this video immediately with at least 5 friends who could use a dose of hope. This is the moment to show your support, because only true fans understand the power of uplifting stories.